Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Conversations with Dee. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the fourth episode, and I have the legendary, incomparable Mr. Glenn Jones.
Wow. Thank you.
And this is just awesome. Like, I'm just in awe right now because I'm a fan. And I tell you, like, literally, when I was in um, California during the time that the late, great Kobe Bryant passed away, right?
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to hear a song played by one of my friends. They're in a group called Whoa with two A's, right?
Okay.
And they played At Last by You. And I'm like,
Really?
wow, this is banging. I mean, I had already knew about I've Been Searching and Show Me and all of that growing up in Flint, Michigan. I know it because look,
Right.
my mom had the radio playing. WDZZ was our station, 92.7. So I'm very familiar with your artistry. I mean, you're impeccable in terms of your vocal acrobatics. I'm sorry. And you're like really flawless in your delivery, your singing, in terms of like the Luthers and everybody like Patti LaBelle's, the people who sing, when they get on the stage and they perform, it's like, whoosh, they sing and you do that. Like I noticed that, and like watching your Unsung, I learned a lot. I know that you got your start in church. So can you please tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that's kind of the whole story. People ask how did I end up in the music business, and I think that I didn't have a choice. It was like it was fed to me since I was a kid. I grew up in church, and there's so much music, that has come out of the church. That's where you cut your teeth. That's where you discover that you have talent, and even where you start to develop your talent. And I was in church all the time. My mother was a missionary and an evangelist at a Pentecostal Seventh-day Adventist church. So they believed in praising God and music. Praising with string instruments and organs and all that kind of stuff. So I started singing when I was like 5 years old, 6 years old, and we used to have conventions. Church conventions, convocations, even that's what we used to call it too. So my mother decided to ask my pastor if I could sing one year in Philly, and she bought me a white suit, a little short pants suit with the little white bucks and stuff. And I got up and sung when I was like 5, 6 years old, and I've been doing it ever since. And it's it's always been what I wanted to do. I never had a desire to do anything else. I mean, I had little temp jobs here and there, doing the things I needed to do to survive. But as far as what I truly wanted to pursue, it was always music.
And that's awesome. Like you've been in the game for over 30 years. And that's legendary in itself. And not too many people can say that. I mean, you've had 10 studio albums. I believe 10 that I counted.
Well, actually, I've had 13.
13. Okay. See, I was off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But well, I thought it was 10. So no, it's interesting because your longevity, it says a lot for itself. I mean, you've worked with tons of people and you obviously have gotten it right. I mean, literally your vocal ability is amazing. And you're like you're in the top 10 male vocalists for me. I can say that. Yeah. And now you say, wow, like no,
Just
you are. I
it's
know. I
nice
know.
to hear that,
No, I mean you are because like literally you sing effortlessly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people literally, I mean, I'm a millennial and I'm 35 years old. And I'll just tell you, like, I like the classic R&B, aka old school music. I respect it. That's what I grew up on in Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
And that's what I know. And there's tons of talented people out there in the millennial world. Yes. However, I have to pay respect to the people that gave people the opportunity, which is the people from old school. And that's just honest. Like they really did. They set the tone
Yeah.
for a lot of that.
Well, each generation, they leave something behind, or they inspire, up and coming artists. I mean, the same thing happened to me when I was coming along. Man, when I first heard Donny Hathaway sing, I thought I was gonna fall on the floor. You Donny Hathaway, Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, Stevie Wonder, Bobby Womack, Sam Cooke, so many great singers. And I emulated that. But in time, you learn to take that and shape it into your own mold. I learned something from everybody. Ray Charles. Sometimes I might be doing a song, and I might hit a lick, and I say, "Oh yeah, that's a Ray Charles kind of thing there." Yeah, I'm feeling that. So it's like we it's like being a sponge and just soaking up everything. All of the greatness that has come before you, and then even coming up to today. A lot of the young singers. I check them out, and I can get something from them. I hope that I never stop, listening and being inspired and learning from other people, because when you stop, then I would say it's over.
I agree. What who are you listening to right now? And I guess like the younger, the newer generation. Like who's on the radio that really like is just like, wow, this person really has got it.
Well, right now, up through here, and it's been a while, probably last decade.
Mhm.
It seems like the female artists have been killing it, just carrying it. The Jasmine Sullivans and the
Yes,
Layla Hathaways and
yes,
Fantasia
yes,
and Faith Evans.
yes.
All the ladies are killing. So I learned from them too. It's like, you know, uh, I used to listen to Aretha Franklin, and that was before I ever thought I would ever get a chance to meet her. And now in my approach on some things, I find myself kind of gravitating towards some things that she had a habit of doing,
Hmm.
you know, and that's cool because when I think about great singers like Luther Vandross,
Yes.
he used to do that. I've heard him sing a riff, and I know he got it from Aretha. I know he
Hmm.
got this from Dionne Warwick or whoever. So it's always something to learn.
Yes, I definitely agree. And the late great Aretha and the late great Luther. I mean, oh my bad, Luther, because that's what we growing up in Michigan. It's Luther. It
Yeah,
ain't no
right,
Luther. It's Luther. And when people say Luther, I mean, no, it's so funny. So like, my mother got me on to Luther. Like, I had no choice but to. I mean, Luther was amazing. I mean, I still listen to him to this day or whatnot. But I remember road trips, and mom would rotate the radio station, I mean the tape and the CD, it was Luther. And I would be listening to Immature. She's like, okay, it's my turn now for Luther.
right.
Take that out. I
Yeah,
said, okay. So I got into it and I'm glad that she did that.
right.
Like that was just amazing. And Luther was amazing. I mean,
Classic.
he was a effortlessly singing person, and so was Patty, and so
Yeah,
was Aretha.
yeah,
Aretha was like awesome. Like her funeral, like that was like 8 or 9 hours, but it was. I love the funeral, like how they were, in terms of the songs. And when Fanny got out, I call her Fanny, Fantasia. I was in tears when she did the whole mix of You Just Call Out My Name, You Got a Friend mixed with Precious Lord.
I,
I was crying.
I know because I was sitting there for those 8 hours at the
Oh my,
funeral.
wow. Oh my
It
God.
was amazing, and um, having had the opportunity to work with her, to stand on stage with her. Standing on stage at Radio City in New York,
Mm,
playing with a 30-piece orchestra, going back and forth with her. I'm doing a
mhm,
duet with her and playing at Caesars. I'm singing these songs with her. And then flying to Detroit because she had her her
mhm.
birthday parties all the time. and she would fly me in, and I would bring my band, and she encouraged me. I met Aretha back in 80, had to be around 82. Yeah, 82, because I played the Fox Theater. I played there with Nancy Wilson. And Aretha,
Wow.
yeah, Aretha had called and spoke with my manager and said she was coming to the show.
Hmm.
We tickets, at the will call. And, I was opening for Nancy, and, Aretha arrived a little late. But all I can remember is seeing this black dress with this red fox fur coming
Yes.
down the aisle.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, and on my little wall of fame, I've got pictures of
Aw.
me and Aretha and my wife Genovia and Nancy Wilson. We're sitting in my dressing room, Got a shot of Aretha holding up my album cover, and then there's one shot of Nancy and Aretha. They
Hmm.
just having girl talk. They're just sitting there. It's such a great shot, man. I
I
treasure
bet it is. Like,
that shot. So yeah, to be around greats like that, I was blessed. I was blessed.
that's awesome. And I also want to say congratulations to you on Trust in Me being considered for the best gospel performance and best gospel song for
Yeah,
Grammy consideration. That's awesome, featuring Mrs. Zenobia Jeter. And
yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah.
And I mean, to get a Grammy consideration and to also get nominated, because you're Grammy nominated as well. A lot of people, just so y'all know, this is a Grammy nominated man. Okay, yeah, okay. He's no joke. So
Well,
for everybody that's listening,
I produced a record on a group called the Canton Spirituals, and produced actually two songs on there. And my wife Genovia, she performed and co-produced vocals on it with me, and that album was nominated for a Grammy.
that's
And
awesome.
also that same album won a Stella. So
Yes.
they say the third time is a charm. So hopefully, on the next go around, maybe I'll get that.
You're gonna get it. You will, because look, you've been in the game. You are well deserving, and I definitely believe that you will get that. And that's awesome. Like, not too many people can say that they even have achieved that. And even though if people haven't achieved it, some people are like, "Oh well, a Grammy that doesn't." You're still awesome, regardless
Yeah,
if you win the Grammy or not. You're still amazing,
yeah.
and yeah,
Well,
it's
there are a lot of great artists, and we used to talk about this a lot back in the day. There were a lot of great R&B artists or African American artists who had, great records, a lot of hits, who were never ever nominated, who never got their just due because of the politics of the Grammys, So
correct.
it's so different now, you know,
Correct.
but the main thing for me, the most rewarding thing for me is to keep putting out great records and having my fan base appreciate and love what I do, and being able to go out and play, like I used to before all of this pandemic thing. So
Yes.
I'm looking forward to getting back to that.
I agree. I miss the concerts because I'm a concert person. I was going to concerts all the time, and like I just enjoy that, and that's just so awesome. And also, like, you have your own independent music, film, and media company. That's great. Like, you founded that in 2018,
Yeah.
Talent Room Entertainment. So, what is behind the name?
Well, my mother, she was always a big part of you know uh, my success, pushing me and doing whatever she could to make, things possible, And when I was a kid, man, my mom used to buy fabric and material and make my suits and all that
Aw.
stuff. I'd be like wilding out, man. I'd be like, Mom, I want a pink suit, because I saw the Temptations with one on or something. And she would make my clothes, but she used to always tell me that my talent would make room for me. My gift would make room. So you said Talent Room Entertainment, you know.
That's awesome. I like the message behind that. That's really beautiful. And You've written a lot of songs. Like I noticed that, like literally. And would you say that it is easier writing songs for yourself or writing songs for other artists? What would you say?
Um, I haven't, you know, really, really pursued writing for a lot of artists. I just write what I write. And sometimes, when you write, just a great melody, good chord progressions, it's possible that that can fit anybody. I believe in, giving an artist a song and letting them take it and make it, fit them, be tailored for them. And that's what I've done, because a lot of times I've sung songs that, they weren't my songs. I didn't write them,
Mhm.
but I could interpret them a certain way, So I like to, leave it open that way. I don't like to, make it too complicated, because it's like, the melody, you know, is the main thing in the song. I remember when I was in the studio recording with Dionne Warwick and Burt Bacharach,
Mm.
um, it was like, it was amazing, but it was like, sing the melody, sing what's on that paper, sing the way we wrote it, and I guarantee you it's going to work. And it did. You still have a little freedom to kind of, um, improvise here and there. But for the main part, I've learned that songwriting is about structure. It's about discipline, you know. And to me, I've always tried to follow that suit, instead of just writing all over the place. I want, because most of the time, the songs that really hit are the kind of songs that the average person can sing. You know, that's what makes a song universal. I believe, the simplicity of it, and that's what I've tried to do.
And that's dope. Like literally, a lot of people don't realize that with songwriting, I actually learned this myself this year. Like anytime when someone does like a remake or a cover, like you're supposed to allow people to see what the song is. Don't switch it up too much so that people don't
Right.
recognize the song. Because a lot of people, again, I hate to say this, millennials, we are victims. We do
Yeah.
it a lot. We do it. The
Yeah.
runs and all that. And
Yeah.
everything does not need a run. It
Well,
does not require a run or a riff or it doesn't.
well, singing and performing, songs. It's a type of it's storytelling. You're telling a story,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes if you complicate it too much, then the story, the essence of the message, gets lost. You know, that's how I feel about it. So,
I agree. I agree because literally people so this is what I've been told, like when Whitney was doing the runs, that's when everybody wanted to throw a run in. The
yeah,
late Whitney Houston, everybody wanted to throw a run in, and it's like, okay, but does the song require you to do that?
yeah. But Whitney had that. She had that discipline too, because
Yes.
uh, of her mother Sissy and her, growing up in church, and Whitney, she would riff, but it wouldn't be like just, all through everything.
Yeah.
It's her moments and her spots just to show you that she could do that.
Yeah.
Just as Stevie Wonder, Stevie
Mm-hmm.
always a great riffer, but the strength of his music was the first of all the lyric, the melody, the
Mm-hmm.
expression, all of that.
Yeah, Whitney was amazing. Like I liked her songs, but like a lot of people, they just want, I'm gonna be like Whitney. And it's like everybody's not gonna be Whitney,
There was only one with
Yes, thank you. It's only one Whitney. Be yourself.
yeah,
And I mean, it's kind of like some people with the big voices. You probably know this, like from church. The bigger, the louder you are, the better you are. Some people believe that, and that's not always true. There are people with tiny little beautiful voices, and they're like so dope. I mean, I look at people like, for instance, and I'm gonna name you. I'm gonna name you in this category. Nobody sounds like you. That's dope. That's what I call a singer. When nobody can sound like you, that means that's what's up. Patti LaBelle, Luther Vandross, El DeBarge,
Yeah.
um, who else? Tina Marie, the late great Tina Marie,
Yeah.
Shaka Khan. I mean, Aretha, Patty,
Yeah.
Fantasia,
Yeah. Yeah.
Freddie Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, Peabo Bryson. Nobody
Yeah.
sounds like Peabo.
Exactly.
Stevie Wonder. There were some people that tried it, but
Yeah.
no, no.
Well,
I know
they
Stevie.
just they were influenced by
Yeah,
him.
they were influenced by him. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that, of course.
Yeah.
And this is so. How was it transitioning from secular? I mean, well, from gospel to secular music. How was that for you?
Uh, it was a little scary because you know, being in church all my life, and particularly, under the strict guidance of being in a Pentecostal church, very very strict, and you know, it was hard for me because I always loved church. I would go to church sometimes when my mother wouldn't go, and
Mhm.
maybe because there was a musical aspect to that, in church. But I would always go, and people would say, if you singing anything but gospel, you're gonna burn in the lake of fire.
Mhm.
I'm like tripping, So, but my biggest concern was that if my mother was okay with it, I don't care what y'all say, okay? And she was with it, she appreciated, the lyrical content of my songs, the songs that I chose to sing. And she would always say, well, you're singing love songs, and that that there can't be anything wrong with that, So I made a conscious decision to do those types of songs, and it was kind of at first, I was writing all my gospel songs, and I was writing, in a very contemporary direction, and but it was always about love. So you know what? I'm gonna keep writing about love, but I'm gonna write about the love between a man and a woman, or a mother and a child, or something like that, and that's a spiritual thing too. That's on a spiritual level, and I learned how to make that transition. And once I did that, then I was okay.
And that's awesome. Sorry, I apologize. I'm in DC, and I
That's
think I
all
think
right.
they
I know DC. I know DC very well. I
yeah,
rock with DC.
that's why I muted the mic too a couple of times. Like, oh my god, wow, that's like the third time.
Yeah.
So you've done a wonderful collaboration with one of my favorites, another legend,
Who, Jenna Bell?
Regina Bell. Yes, and so okay, I know that was amazing. I listened, that's amazing. But I want to ask you, so what songs or collaborations would you want to be a part of that you didn't get a chance to be a part of, or you would like to be a part of in the future?
Well, a lot of those great vocalists that I named, like a Layla Hathaway, or a Jasmine Sullivan, or folk like that. They, I mean, they're solid. They're they're God gifted. You know what I'm saying? It's just a natural thing. And when you speak about
Yes.
singing effortless, that's what they do. Faith Evans, man,
Yes.
and I know she's straight out of Church of God in Christ. You know,
Kojic. Yes. They
no,
don't play. They don't play.
yeah. They don't play just like Charlie Wilson is. I'm a big fan of
Yeah.
him.
I love him. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
He's amazing in concert.
yes,
He
he.
yes, he was at the Something in Water Festival by Pharrell. And I was like, oh my God, that man is amazing or whatnot. And I mean, I missed you in concert several times in DC. And I'm like, okay, when
Oh,
that's gonna happen, I gotta see him.
yeah,
But it'll happen.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, just singing in general, just the you've been in the game for over 30 years. So what are some things that you've come across that you were just like, wow, like I never knew that music would be this and it would go this far, like as far as evolutionary?
Well, I mean, it evolves, and when it kind of really got into the techno side of things, when because I was used to working with people, writing songs or working with arrangers and stuff, and it was more so about the acoustic thing,
Mm-hmm.
But then all this technology came along and it kind of switched up things. And then when they started using auto tune and all that, I'm like, okay, well, I ain't knocking that because it's advancement, it's technology, but I came from an era where you just dropped it. If there was no music, if there was no microphone, no instrument, you just dropped it. Wherever you had to. And to me, like even in presenting songs, like if you were trying to present a song to somebody, it didn't have to be like you had this extravagant demo. It could just be vocal and piano, you know, and that's when you realize and you see the strength of a song or composition.
And who could really sing, and who the difference between who could sing, the
That, yeah,
studio performers and the entertainers and the people who they sound all right type thing. Yeah, I
yeah,
definitely get that. Yeah.
because a lot of that, became more about the imagery, the optics and everything. That's cool. It's the optics are cool, but when it comes down to just flat footed, just, I remember when Mandela was released from prison.
Hmm.
He came to the States and he came to New York. He toured several cities because I saw him in New York and I saw him
Awesome.
in LA. But in New York, they had an event at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and they invited me to sing. And I sung Kumbaya,
Mm.
no instruments, no microphone, just the acoustics in that the acoustics in that cathedral was so amazing, man. It just filled the room,
Mm.
you know, and that was an awesome moment for me, just to experience that and hear that and know that, this sound is coming out of me and it's filling the room.
I can only imagine like that. I mean, literally, that is just amazing to hear the acoustics, the natural acoustics, and just be around that
Yeah,
sound.
yeah, it was beautiful.
What do you enjoy the most in terms of like, do you enjoy acting or singing? Because we know that you've done some acting, and that's awesome. But I mean, do you like both of them? And that's okay if you like both of them. You
Hey,
know.
look, I'll never be a Denzel Washington, but you know, I appreciated the experience because it taught me, how to project, what I'm saying, how to get beyond the footlights, um, and it it gave me, it gave me enjoyment to, come outside of myself and play a character to be somebody other than myself, and it was cool, and it paid the bills, which
No,
was,
that's right.
and I got a chance to work with a lot of great people. I remember when the first play I ever did, excuse me, I did a play called Sing Mahalia Sing, which was a play about the life and times of Mahalia Jackson,
Mm.
and I played a minister in the play, and Mahalia Jackson came to my church, my service on a Sunday morning, and I had to sing a song and convince her to come up and sing a song that takes us all the way back home. and that was my first experience. And that actually, that play was written and directed and produced by a guy named George Faison. George Faison was the cat that choreographed The Wiz. You know, he's a Tony
Mm.
Award winner, and he did he did a few movies. And I thought he was crazy, because I had never worked in the theater and I had never seen anybody so intense. But I was grateful because I learned a lot from him.
That's awesome. And where were you the first time when you heard your song on the radio? Like, I know that was amazing. Like the feeling that you feel when you hear, wow, my song is on the radio.
Well, you
It's
know what?
amazing.
That was really, really early because I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. And even though, I might not have been on a major label, but when I was a kid, my older brother, uh, Lewis Jones, he would take me and my young guys in the studio. We were like teenagers, young teenagers, and we would go in and do demos. So we knew some people, in the radio game, local radio station. So, like we had like a radio program, a radio show every Sunday morning. We come on there and play live and everything, and then they would spin one of the little singles, one of the 45s that I had recorded. So there were times when I was really young where I would be riding and I would hear that, in the car. But the first time I heard uh, my record, from a major production, uh, well, when I heard my gospel with Reverend James Cleveland, he produced the record.
Mm.
I wrote like 10 songs,
Mm-hmm.
and he produced the record on me. He got me signed to REC, not REC, I'm sorry, Savoy Records, and that was an experience. But the first time really when I heard, I did this song called "Melancholy Fire" with this musician, jazz musician Norman Connors, and "Melancholy Fire" was the second single from his album. And when I heard it, matter of fact, it was on Arista Records. We recorded the record on Arista Records. When I heard that song on the radio for the first time, man, it was so big and wide.
Mm.
It just, engulfed me. So that was amazing. Just riding along, and then, next thing you know, it's coming on. It's like you trying to blow the speakers out of the joint. Just crank it all the way up. It was a good feeling because it's like that's me.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really phenomenal. So you did Unsung. I watched it. I enjoyed it.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
I mean, Unsung is interesting. So how did that happen? How did they approach you?
Well, I had you know gotten interviewed for Dave Hollister's Unsung. When they did the
I remember that one.
song on him, they called me and asked me to do it. So I got my little 5 minutes of fame on there. With it. But I knew David from the time he was like 17 years old.
Mm,
I found him in Chicago and I needed a background singer. So I was playing a club called George's for a whole week, and my
mm,
music director introduced me to Dave, and I took to
mm,
Dave right away. And so that was my first experience with it. And then the producer, I met the producer, one of the producers at this shoot where
mm,
they were doing Share Pepsi Raleigh, and we started to talk, and then she started calling me,
mm,
and she just called, and we would have these long conversations. And I think her boss, is really interesting to him. First of all, that I was raised in Seventh-day Adventist because her boss is Jewish. You know, and to hear my story, and then the fact that he had never heard my music, and he said that the music was so great, I was a great vocalist, and he just wanted to tell my story, so we took it from there.
that's good. So how was it touring in Kuwait and Iraq. How was that? I mean, of course, it's heartfelt. You're doing something. You're giving back to the troops that serve, and they put their lives on the line for us. So that's awesome in itself. How was that for you, being able to perform for them?
It was amazing. It was eye opening because when I looked around, most of the service people, they were like so young,
Mm,
and I'm saying, to myself, I'm like, dang, man, when I was that age, I was trying to get my whip together, and do my music and have my little girlfriend and all of that. But these kids are over here risking their lives and dedicating their lives to a higher purpose. And it was amazing, and it was scary to see and hear some of the stories that we were told. We stayed in this palace that used to be Saddam Hussein, one of his palaces.
mm,
And there was a lot of history behind that. And we went to the other palace that he had built. He built a palace called Victory Over America.
mm.
And that was the one that the U.S. attacked, and the way they tore that place apart, man.
Oh,
And just walking through there, and you could still see, rounds of ammunition on the ground, and it was just it was scary, because being from a place like the United States, we used to not living in a war zone,
mm-hmm.
and being protected, and just to see some of the things that the people went through over there, and things that they had to survive. It made me grateful and thankful to be, you know, from the U.S.
Amen. Who are your top female vocalists and your top male vocalists?
Well, we pretty much have already talked about the females. Again, the
Aretha.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, Aretha and this and
Yeah.
Patty, uh, even like Patty Austin. I used to love
Yeah.
hear her sing with James Ingram. Minnie Riperton, Denise Williams. And so many of the newer, the
Mm-hmm.
current singers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as far as the guys are concerned,
Mm-hmm.
right now I love Music Soul Child.
Yes.
The songs that he writes and the melodies and all that. I'm a big fan of Joe. I love
Yes.
Joe. I love uh, uh, John B. I like him.
Yes.
John B. He's real
Yes.
smooth. Of course, my little brother Dave Hollister.
Yes.
Can't leave him out. Um, and those are the kind of people. And actually, I was always a fan of Pilo Bryson
Yes.
and Elder Barge.
Oh my God, I love him.
Yeah, that's right around the time I decided that I wanted to sing R&B, when I started listening to them, because I remember Peebo had the "I'm So Into You"
Mm,
album out, and then all of the "Reaching for the Sky" and all that kind of stuff, and that stuff was really inspiring to me.
that's amazing. Yeah, Elder Barge is phenomenal in concert. I got to see him in concert. I was like, yes, bucket list, yes.
Yeah.
Um, what advice would you have for emerging young talent in terms of wanting to break into the industry?
See, that's a hard question because everything has changed. Like back in the day, you do a demo, you get a record deal.
Hmm.
The record company had the machinery, to produce the record, to market it, but everything is independent now. And it's like having to reinvent yourself, because I had to, become accustomed to, the regulations of doing a record now. It's just, but I would say this. I would say try to be as knowledgeable as possible uh, try to uh, try to be as self-contained as possible. You know, writing, producing, that kind of thing, and just be committed. Just knowing that this is what you want. This is what you've been working for. Who you want to be. What you want to be 20 years from now. Just got to be committed to it.
That's some good advice in terms of normalcy. Normalcy. Um, a lot of people, the celebrity is not for them. Like, what would you say about that in terms of like keeping the faith and keeping, making sure you're focused and you're doing it for the right reason and there's
Right.
a purpose, the right purpose behind it? What would you say about that?
Well, there's always a financial side of it, because we have to live and survive. But it's got to be about more than just that. You do have to be focused, and you got to be true to who you are as an artist. Because a lot of times people will try to sway you. They'll say, "Well, man, that's you need to do a different kind of record, do this kind of record," and people jump from place to place trying to chase different directions. Trying to make a record like such and such just made, that person made this person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, be true to who you are. And you know it doesn't matter. Maybe somebody else is doing something. They selling more records than you are, but that's still not you.
Amen.
Not you.
A lot of people lose themselves. Like I've noticed, like a lot of people say that, and it's all because some people they're like, oh well, so and so did this and they have that, but that might not be what
Yeah.
you want to get into. So yeah, definitely. I definitely like that piece, and I definitely agree with that. What advice did you find to be helpful in your career that someone told you?
Um, I guess they kind of said the same thing I just said, but one thing that they did say is to know the business. Keep your eyes on your fries. Know, because it's like management. It's almost it's been whereas you would surrender yourself to somebody, just give them control, just trust, complete trust in them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard thing to do, and they tend to know. You know, they know your life, they know you inside and out. They know more about you sometimes than your wife or your husband or something. But people always told me to be true to who I was, and also stay stay pure at heart. Remember where you came from.
Amen.
Don't get caught up in the limo. You know, you know the little glitz and glamour.
Bling bling.
Yeah, don't get caught up in that because
Yeah.
that changes sometimes too. There are peaks and valleys. But it's not about the short term; it's about the long term. You know, and because you can make a lot of money and then everything fizzled out. So then what are you going to do? Money does not necessarily complete you. It doesn't engage you. It doesn't. That's not. You gotta stay passionate about your reason for getting up every day. You
Mhm.
your purpose, and that's pretty much you know uh, the information that I was given.
That's amazing. And you mentioned the business piece because a lot of people literally when they get in, some people don't know about, how the copywriting works, how the marketing, how like for instance the advances, some people take advances and sometimes people don't understand like back in the day, I'm not going to name any names because I respect these people. But
Yeah.
anyway, people were getting paid like 75 cents per um album.
Right.
dollar and 25 cents, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of things people didn't realize was that, okay, that nice little house that they are forwarding for you, that ain't really your house. That's the record label's house. Like back in the day with Frankie Lyman, how the manager put his name on the album. You didn't write that. That was Frankie Lyman. And
Right.
I respect movies like that. And I respect the late great Prince and the late great Frankie Lyman, late great let's see, Little Richie and Richard and the late great Tina Marie, Michael Jackson as well, because they put it out there what was going on
Yeah.
with the industry in terms of not everybody, but some people with the business aspect. Like Tina Marie, she wrote a lot of her songs as well. And writing your songs, you want to be able to, obviously get what you're writing, the I'm sorry,
Benefits. Yeah. The
yeah,
fruit.
the royalties and whatnot.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what's going on, it can mess you up. That's why a lot of people become indie for that reason. They don't want to do independent people. So some people don't say indie, they say independent, but some people they become indie for that in that sense, because they're like, hey, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to be in that situation where I'm getting sued or someone is getting over on me.
Yeah.
So, like for younger people, a lot of people now, some of them don't know that those contracts they signed, is it 360 at the or 160 or 180 contract, one of them, were not so dope. They weren't the greatest contracts and they didn't know this. And I guess my question is, where was your attorney? And why didn't you get the attorney? Because to me, I'm not signing anything until I have it read thoroughly and highlighted, and I'm going through researching what all it is and what it means.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even with that, sometimes you can get an attorney to do your deal, but it still doesn't mean that you have the best deal in the world. You know, these attorneys are constantly doing business with these record labels all the time,
True,
bringing different
true.
artists in there. So and they know that you're desperate to, get your shot. So it's like a standard kind of deal, and then these companies they'll show you all these little shiny objects, you
Mhm.
know, house or a car. You know what I'm saying? I mean, back in the day, it was even crazy where they was, drugs or whatever it was. They did that. You know, and
Wow.
just to take your eye off the prize. But I think that the indie thing is a good thing. It's a great thing because it causes you to have to learn. And sometimes you learn by you know mistakes. Try.
Mhm.
And but at the end of the day, as long as you can maintain, you know, your business, your songs, your catalog, and as long as you can know what's going on, because see, back in the day, they would spend all kind of money, but the thing is, as an artist, you weren't thinking about the fact, okay, they
Mhm.
mark that down now. That $20,000 that we just spent for this, oh, they getting that back. They're gonna get it back. You are spending
Yeah.
your own money. You
It's a
know,
loan, so to speak.
oh,
They're recouping it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. What were some of your favorite performances? Like
Uh,
on Soul Train, I seen a couple of them. I said, okay, that's what's up.
yeah,
Yeah.
I had fun doing it. I was on there a few times,
Yes.
and I was on American Bandstand. I met Dick Clark a
Okay.
long time ago. I did Regis and Kathy Lee, and especially when I did the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Mm.
You know, those kind of things. And then I remember going to. I went to Brazil. I played in Rio de Janeiro.
Mm.
And I remember coming out in the stadium with 20,000 people screaming and hollering.
Wow.
It was amazing. And they don't even speak English. They speak Portuguese,
Mm-hmm.
but they singing these songs, man. Like So all that stuff has always been great because I always wanted to travel. all over the world.
That's good. And what would you, in terms of who, what would you say was like one of the major things that was different about the 80s versus now? I mean,
Well,
I know there's tons of things that's different, but what would you say was different, you know?
I guess the main thing is the way radio and records were structured. The whole process. Um, being able to have the kind of budgets where you could work with most of the people that you want to work with. You know, and just having like we were talking about being indie now.
Mm-hmm.
Being indie is cool, but you still need to have that capital to market your records. If people don't know you got a record, if they don't hear it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to move. But just thinking about the way retail used to, and influence radio, and radio influenced retail, that kind of thing. Um, and I guess pretty much just no matter the kind of music you did, it was you could just do, if you were doing R&B, just do what you do. But now it's um like when I go to Europe, they over there, they love R&B. They are fanatical about it. But a lot of the newer music, they don't call it R&B, they call it pop and B. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So those were the days of just touring. We all were working at the same studios, and we would come in and do sessions for one another. It's like I had a record called Show Me. I have a record called,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a big record for me. And that was really the first hit record I had. And nobody ever knew that was Freddie Jackson singing all that background stuff on there. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. We all used to just be in and out of each other's sessions, man, and it was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I heard stories like, yeah, like people would back in the day, it was so cool. You would go into studio A and then you would see in studio B one of your friends, hey, how you doing? Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Like the camaraderie, that
Yeah.
feeling. Like, do you think that they lost that now in the industry a little bit?
Um, well, in terms of recording, I don't know, because everybody, because of the technology, people have different ways of recording, whereas, it was very seldom that you saw somebody that had a full-fledged studio in their house. So they would be, at Right Track or Soundtracks, or whatever studio in New York. Um, but I think that I think it's just I haven't felt that kind of camaraderie in a lot of years. You know,
Mm,
I don't know. If somebody that I know, if a friend of mine puts out a record and I hear it, and I'll call and I
mhm.
say, "Yo, man, love that," and like, "Yo, let's get together and do something." Uh, but it's so different now. It's and at that time, back in those days, it was all about the producers, because a lot of producers had their production companies and stuff. So you were really trying to chase a producer that was hot,
Mhm.
to even get a hit record, as an artist, and that was the game, that they were running with back then. But that's why I say, to me, it's important to try to be as self-contained as you can.
Mhm. I agree. That's great. And this quick question: do you ever watch the versus competitions?
I've never watched it.
Never watch them.
Uh,
Are you open to doing one? Who would you want to go against if
oh no.
I know it'll be camaraderie. Because no, honestly though, so I asked that question on live to Mr. Bryson, and he said that he would do one with one of my other faves as well, Mr. Jeffrey Osborne, because it would be like there's no competition. Of course, that's great in terms of like they're both dope. So like in a sense of hey, y'all are just it's just camaraderie, Who would you?
Well, I wouldn't mind doing one with Peebo.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
so we plugging that?
Well, I'm
Are we
just putting
pushing
it
it?
out
No, no, no. I'm saying, hey, we look. What's his name? Swiss Beats. Swiss
there.
Beats. Anybody know Swiss Beats? Get him on that. Hey, I
Yeah,
would be down. I would be down for that
yeah.
because y'all have impeccable catalogs. I mean, really, y'all do. So
Well,
I think that could be done.
okay. Well, just hey,
Let's
call me.
make that happen. I don't look Swiss. I'm not that important for Swiss Beats to know at the moment. So Swiss Beats, somebody who knows Swiss Beats, make that happen.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean the verses. I watched the one with Monica and the one with Patti LaBelle and
yeah.
Gladys Knight, and those were awesome. I mean, all of them were amazing. And then tomorrow, Ashanti and Keisha Cole. That's gonna be phenomenal. So I mean, I'm glad that they're doing things like that. I mean, it's
All
interesting.
right, all right.
So,
Well, you do know, when you perform on the same gig,
mhm.
it might not, you know, you might not put it out there like that, but there's a competition happening anyway. Everybody,
Mhm.
they're trying to do their best. They're trying to kill the house. You know what I'm saying?
We know.
Yeah, sometimes people, they get in, they go back and forth about who's closing,
Mhm.
who's in the middle, all of that stuff.
Gotcha. And it, I guess, like in a sense, and you're right. Like in a sense, with the whole album covers, how were album covers like different in the 80s and the 90s versus now? I mean, people don't buy CDs anyway now, so it doesn't
I
matter.
know I'm about to tell you, it's been so long since I've seen a CD. I don't know what to tell you, but um, well, back in those days, it
Mhm,
probably is the same way now. It's about getting, great photographer coming up with a storyline,
mhm.
getting the right stylist, all that kind of stuff, and just trying to make a statement based off of what kind of album, what kind of record you did,
Mhm.
you know.
You didn't have to like really try that hard back in the day. Like some people, like with you could actually, I mean, sell an album with your voice versus not
Yeah,
having to have a look like that. I mean, so back in the day, you had several R&B artists on the chart, and it was fine.
right.
Now it's either you two people, and I'm not gonna say those two people. I'm gonna leave it to the imagination of the viewers. But
Okay.
they start with a B and an R. So I'm
Hey,
gonna say. But anyway, if you're not those two females, then
yeah,
you're not popping.
right.
And right now for males, I don't even know who I would name as like a top R&B male. Where
That
are they?
that's why I was telling you that the women
Yeah.
females have been killing it.
Yes.
They've been killing
I
it.
agree. I agree. Has anybody ever, like, I guess, asked you, would you want to be a judge on any of the, like, the singing shows? Would you be open for that?
Oh, I would definitely be open to it. I love hearing great singers and new artists, coming up and being able to kind of, being able to give my opinion as to what I got out of the performance, being able to kind of break it down, uh, because that's what being in the business, for decades is about, being able
Mhm.
to analyze, you know,
Mhm.
music, the song, the performance, and all of that. So yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that.
I think that would be awesome because, like, you definitely have, I mean, you have the expertise and you really could help a lot of people.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, like I mean, you really could. I would definitely audition for that show, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But I do want to also congratulate you on First Noel. That was
Okay.
wow. I heard that, and that's phenomenal.
Did
And
you?
so, yes, yes. And so I'm going to play that. I'm gonna play a snippet of that.
Oh, great, great.
So please, everybody, listen. Make sure you go to YouTube, Glenn Jones Music.
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure y'all support that.
All of the digital platforms have it. So,
Yes.
y'all can go there and, and let a brother have
So
99.
we're gonna play that right now. So
First Noel, the angels did say, was to certain for shepherds in fields where they lay, in fields where they lay, keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Nowhere, 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 nowhere. Born is the King of Israel. Nowhere, 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 nowhere. Born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a bright star shining in the east. Beyond them so far, and to the earth I gave a great light. And so it continued all day, day and night. Nowhere, 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 nowhere. Born is the King of Israel. Born is the King of Israel. Born is the King of Israel. Born is the King of Israel.
wow, that was amazing. Like literally the moments, like I was like, oh my God. Like when you hit that note, I was like, oh yes. When I was like,
Thank you. Thank you.
that's just awesome. Like, thank you so much. Like, I know like we're like maybe 3 minutes over, but thank you so much. Like, this has been legendary. You are like literally, you are a pillar in the community of R&B, and you are amazing and phenomenal, and you will get that Grammy. Like we were talking about earlier, for those tuning in people, we were talking about Grammys. So you will get that. And
I'll keep working on it. Yeah.
Please keep making great music and blessing us with your voice and your God-given gift and talent.
Thank you so much.
Please check him out he has a fan club. Please make sure you do that. Also check out, hold on one second. Check out the Love Jones Foundation as well. Please check that out. And also check out the Glenn Jones Music Facebook page and Talent Room Entertainment, along with Glenn Jones Music.
.com.
.com. Thank you. And also follow him on Instagram and support him. Go and check out the songs. Trust in Me. Check out all the classics. Just support him. Support great music, everybody. So
Yeah.
this has been a pleasure. Like, this has made my bucket list awesome interview. So
Nice meeting you too.
nice meeting you too. Like, you were just so dope or whatnot. Like, my mom is watching. She's like, oh my God. And my father, today's his birthday. So happy birthday, Dad. Thank you for watching in Alabama. Thank you. So yeah, and thank you.
You're welcome.
And God bless you. You stay safe, because thank you so much.
Yes. Happy holidays.
You tour again in DC. I will be there. I will buy a ticket, because I buy tickets. Yes.
Okay.
Because some of you
can buy a ticket as long as you let me know that you're there, Just hit my manager Prince up and he'll let me know.
Hold on. Thank you so much, Mr. Prince Levy, for setting this up. Awesome. And thank you. I know he said don't call him Mr. Thank you, Prince. Thank you. I appreciate it. I will look, it's no problem saying Prince, because Prince was my father in music. The legendary late great Prince. So that's an awesome name. So thank you so much. And I will definitely support. And if you have any shows in Georgia, my mom will support too. And we have family in Georgia as well. They'll support. So yeah, just let me know.
Great.
We'll buy tickets and support.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless. And please keep making great music. Thank you. This was for the culture.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good one. God bless.
You too. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Conversations with Dee. And this was my 4th episode. And if you are tuning in, you know that next week I have my next guest, Mr. Randy Gill, from the formerly of 2D Extreme. So please check that out at 7 p.m. next week. Thank you so much. And God bless everybody. Y'all have a great night. And please stay safe. And I just want to say that this is great. I started doing this mainly because I like music and I love it. And also because I feel inspired and I get to, talk to great legends, as we just heard from one right there, and talk to exceptional people. And I'm going to have all kinds of different guests, entrepreneurs, just different people, something for everybody. But thank you so much. And shout out to my parents, because I'm here because of y'all. Right. Thank you. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And thank you. If this is your first time tuning in, please stop, come back again. And thank you for everybody who has continued with me. I appreciate that. And the whole vision is to provide purposeful and positive, insightful information, and to uplift and keep people encouraged during these times of COVID-19. So I definitely appreciate that. And thank you so much for supporting, and share if you care. And Conversations with Dee, and Conversations with Dee IG, and Conversations with Dee YouTube, and all that. Thank you so much, and have a good night.